Wow. If this stuff turns out to be true, the divorce between JLO and Ben is about to get very, very interesting. There's a lot here. We're going to go in a couple different directions, but the first most crazy thing, and I couldn't even believe it when I read a lot of different things on this today because I couldn't even believe it, but there's speculation, and not even speculation, but that there's not a prenup. And first thought is like, well, they're both rich, it doesn't matter. It does matter, and it could matter, especially if Ben is angry at her, which it seems like he is, and he wants to get some revenge on her, but we'll get to that in just a second. So here's the thing. It was assumed that they had a prenup. And there's a lot of reports that they had a prenup and it was all, it would be no big deal. A divorce would just be essentially like paperwork and they go their own ways. But it turns out, according to people close to them, a lot of different reports are saying they did not have a prenup. And here's the thing. JLO is reported to have a much larger net worth than Ben as of right now. That's the speculation. So if Ben is mad at her, and there's reason to believe he might be, and we'll get into that in just a second, that he could end up making it very difficult for her, and she very well might have to write a pretty large check to him, which would be absolutely insane. Like, it just almost doesn't seem believable, but that's what possibly can happen if that stuff turns out to be true. Now, here's the thing. And this wouldn't surprise anyone. Obviously, we've established you're a fan of JLO, I'm a fan of JLO, but it's not a surprise that people close to them are saying that she was very controlling of him, or that she tried to be controlling of him, and that one of the things that he said, and this is out in the open, is that he said he didn't want to have a relationship on social media. One thing about him is that he seems to, for the most part, want to be pretty private. I mean, he was we went over it many times. He's been a huge movie star for the last, 20-some years. And it seems like now he's made a ton of money and he wants to be low-key, low-key by Hollywood standards. Because he's obviously still out there, he's still making movies. But JLO is still very active and very, very out there, and he didn't want to have a very public relationship, and but at the same time, he was respecting what she wanted and what she was trying to do, because part of what she's doing is also, by her putting everything out there about the relationship, helps her career. And she's not using him or anything like that, but it helps keep her in the spotlight, helps sell records, helps sell ticket sales for concerts, helps sell a documentary, which turns out none of that worked. And then obviously with him buying the house on her birthday, but here's a really interesting part that I didn't even know about it, or I didn't realize. When they bought the house together, JLO and Ben, they paid cash for it. They paid it up front, which it's incredible, because it was like $40 or $60 million or whatever it was. So just to have that kind of cash is it's I don't know. To me, it's mind blowing. Maybe it's not mind blowing. To me, it is. Anyways, what they ended up doing is they ended up taking a mortgage out on that. I think it was for $20 million, which is incredible. Which is incredible because I would imagine the mortgage was for doing renovations, because they did extensive renovations on the house. So the $20 million, which is an incredible amount, but obviously for a house like that, it's not like us doing renovations. You might spend a few $1,000s, painting a room or, getting a new couch or something like that. But for $40 or $60 million home, I mean, it's going to be very expensive. So that's what I would imagine that's what the $20 million was for. Well, anyways, and again, with them having to sell the house so soon, it's very unlikely they're going to get any of those renovation costs back. And again, and we've went over all this, but there's speculation that they will lose a ton of money on the house for a number of reasons. But anyways, so it's looking like he wanted to be more low-key, she wanted to be out there more, and that created a clash. and this is all well known, but their relationship, even the first time around, was always contentious. There's always like a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. But the second time around, I guess it's been just constantly, like, it's been escalating, like where they're even having public arguments, public meltdowns, and it's been all over the news and in the gossip sites and magazines, where they're arguing in public, which is for two megastars like that, it's almost a little odd, because they know what's going to happen. It's not like they're young. It would be different the first time around for that to happen, because maybe they didn't quite know that. But them two have been around for so long that they know exactly what's going to happen. And I'm not saying that they were okay with it. I'm just saying their guard was probably down, and they just had their big arguments. So they were pretty serious, because you would think that one of them had the sense of mind to say, okay, let's get home and we can hash it out at home. But so obviously they have big issues that they've always had. But when you have two big stars like that, you got to imagine that there's going to be issues. And someone like JLo's got a huge ego. She's always got to be in charge, and she's always in charge in her life, you know. So if she's trying to tell, you know, Ben to do what to do, and has been speculated that she's been a bit controlling. Someone like that, who's such a big star, is not necessarily going to take it well. And here's another thing. This is going to be her fourth divorce, and this will be a second divorce. So you got to wonder what the problem is in all this. But you know, I guess you know, who are we to judge? You know, everyone's got, you know, issues. Everyone's got you know, strong points and weak points, and you know, I think someone like JLo's intention is good. Is, you know, she's trying to find love, but her execution might not be so good. And I love her. I'm a huge fan of her, but you got to wonder, you know, what's next as far as, you know, marriage for her. Is she gonna? I mean, she's old enough now. I mean, she's you know, in her 50s. Does she take a step back and go, okay, let me reevaluate and let me you know, make a better choice? Or does she jump right back into another relationship? And that would be kind of interesting to see. And you got to imagine Ben's going to not jump into a relationship. I wouldn't think he will. This divorce can go in one of two directions. It could kind of, you know, they can kind of tie things up, go their separate ways. She keeps what she has, he keeps what he has. They sell the house, they take their losses, and they just move forward. Or if he's angry with her, which again, it's looking like, on the outside, it's looking like he is, and again, there's reports that inside people that are close to him are saying that he's not happy with her, and if he wants to get at her, if there is indeed not a prenuptial agreement, he can probably go after her for a little bit. But I don't think he would, because that's going to kind of make him look kind of petty and weak, because he's already rich. But it might very well get very interesting, and you know, the thing, you know, we'll wrap up by saying that with JLO and Ben, there's always a ton of drama. There's always a ton of drama with them too.